Hi, welcome back for another video. My name is Adrian, and today I want to walk you through my process from start to finish, step by step. So let's get into it. First, I start with reference. I am a big fan of reference. Check out my how to draw from reference video if you need help with that. So I start very loose. I think once you're drawing from a pose, again, you don't want to draw from it one to one. At least I don't. I like to keep it very loose. I am sketching like just rough lines, just really trying to find the pose that I want. I am dropping the opacity of the layer and doing a couple passes until I get closer to what I want. So the first sketch isn't the one I always stick to. I lighten I drop the opacity. I draw over top, and as I get closer and closer to the pose and the feeling that I want, then I start adding the detail or more of a detailed sketch. So here I wasn't really sure if I wanted to turn the head or not. So I was just trying to turn it just to see if it felt right for the pose or what I was going for. And it really didn't, like, I don't know, it wasn't really what I was vibing with. So I just was like, nah, never mind. So now on top of that sketch, I start to add the anatomy. I'm adding the muscles and as you saw right there, I almost forgot to save. Always save your work just in case your file, your computer shuts down or whatever. So quick tip. But yeah, so I'm drawing the anatomy. I am defining a lot more of the forms, making them more, thinking about perspective of where's that leg? What direction is that knee? What direction is that foot pointed? I'm thinking about all these things as I draw. Because I've drawn for a little bit and I've studied some of these things, quite a bit. I'm not really drawing, like the boxes and all of that. A lot of that's just happening in my head as I draw, and I'm just going right into the more defined details versus a lot of the fundamental stuff. But again, that comes with time. But yeah, so now I wanted to draw a club. So I started drawing it. Then I realized it was kind of flat. So I was like, nah, let's change that. Let's put it in perspective and make it feel a little more dynamic. So I turned it in space. Again, thinking about it being a box. And if you can draw a box in space on the page, then you can draw pretty much anything. So just keep that in mind. But yeah, I'm flipping the canvas just to make sure it looks balanced and it doesn't basically it's a way to get fresh eyes. Just make sure the face is as symmetrical as I could make it. And now I'm drawing a more lizard-like face. The one I had before didn't feel too lizard-like to me, so I changed it. So now, yeah, trying to make it a little more lizard-like. I really like that tail. I was happy with that tail. I thought it was pretty cool. But yeah, so I also had reference from, I was on Pinterest scrolling around, and then these, I think they're stills from a movie. I'm not really sure, but I don't know. I don't remember what I searched in Pinterest, honestly, but like these, I'm pretty sure it's a movie, but the Mayan figures or Mayan characters popped up in the feed. I was inspired by it, so I was like, oh, this will work for what I'm trying to do. So I wanted to give my creature more of a story. So when you look at the creature, you're like, oh, there's something here. It's not just a random humanoid lizard. By putting tattoos and piercings and necklaces or neck dress. I guess that's what you would call it, I guess. But it makes the creature feel like there's more to them. So that's what I decided to do. But a lot of that is done before the sketches even started. That's why I think it's important to kind of look at reference, be inspired by the reference, and so that way as you're drawing, you can make decisions as you draw. So here I'm just inking, thinking about line weight, thinking about as I'm inking, I'm not necessarily tracing. I am making adjustments as I ink. I think it's important to note that when you're inking, you don't have to. It's just, again, my process, my style is that I don't like to go one-to-one with the sketch. I like to give myself room and permission, I guess, to say, hey, like, make edits if you need to. If something feels off, you can ink it, differently. You can, instead of, I mean, if you need to, go back and resketch it, as well. But I felt that, I could just make tweaks as I inked the image. But yeah, so as I'm inking, I am making decisions for the most part, but I do like to have most of my decisions made in the sketch stage. In the sketch stage. I like to not think so much while I'm inking. I like a lot of that work to be already done. So as I'm beginning to color, I'm just laying in flats. I'm using the lasso fill tool to lay those flats in fairly quickly. Again, I'm choosing colors based on the reference that I found. Again, lizards come in many, many colors. They're bright, vibrant ones, and they're more earthy tone ones, all kinds of varieties, right? But the reference that I was really drawn to were the lizards that had the more earthy tone colors. So that's kind of what I went with there. So in the coloring stage, I am pretty much just laying in all of the flats. A lot of the colors are on different layers, but sometimes I do put them on the same layer. But I do the flats for the entire figure, the entire drawing. And here you can see I wanted to go with just to see what another color would look like, a darker color, but didn't feel like the vibe I was going for, so I went back to the initial color. But I flat the whole thing, so that way if I ever need to go back, I use a lot of masks when I add my colors. So I always like to have that base flat, so that way I can always go back to select that first layer and use it as my mask for and if you don't know what masks are, like, just let me know in the comments and I can put that in another video. Again, I probably won't make a whole video about masks, but I could probably insert it in there somewhere. So again, on top of, I like to do a multiply layer with a color for my shadows, and then on top of that I do another layer with white, and I turn it to overlay, the blend mode to overlay. That way it just feels like the light is hitting it, and it's a faster way to get light and shadow without having to take too much time to do it. You just immediately starts to immediately feel like light is hitting the figure. So I try and keep it simple. Next, I pretty much just go right into adding more light, more deeper shadows. If in certain places, like the tail, you'll see that I add more shadows there to push that further back, so it's the drapery feels more in front. So yeah, I just add a little more shadow. I'll go in and add more light with an overlay layer so that it feels like the sun is hitting this figure. And that's pretty much it. Like, I keep it simple. I have a very simple process. It keeps it fun for me. But yeah, so if you have any questions, let me know in the comments. I'd be happy to answer them. If you enjoyed this video, found it helpful, like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Until then, keep drawing.